Hello everyone, and welcome to the Women in Innovation Building Success webinar on social media. Before I hand over to Anne-Marie, who will take us through today's webinar, I'll quickly run through some key points. The session today is being recorded, and the recording will be circulated along with the slides after. All attendees will be muted throughout the webinar. A Q&A session will be held at the end of the webinar. And if you would like to ask questions, please add these to the Q&A box provided. So can I introduce you to Anne-Marie? Anne-Marie Taylor is a strategic marketing and digital media consultant with over 30 years experience working with B2B and B2C clients. As founder of Taylor Communications, Anne-Marie works with a wide range of businesses from tourism to health, property to technology, helping companies define their brand, develop key messages, build an online audience, and identify the digital channels that align with their business strategy while measuring activity along the way. Anne-Marie supports businesses in developing strategic marketing campaigns that really work and create engaging content. She also advises on search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising, online and offline marketing campaigns, blogs, social media, website development, and digital marketing analytics. Over to you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you very much, Raluca, for that introduction. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Having worked in marketing for well over 30 years now, makes me sound so old, I have watched the whole world of digital marketing evolve quite extensively. And the most amazing development during that time has been the evolution of social media. Actually, my slides aren't moving. Okay, just bear with me a wee second. And how social media has become a sort of a core communication channel for us all. Myself, I'm very strong on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn because my marketplace is mostly business to business. I use it to connect with people, and I use it to put my brand out there and let people see what I'm up to. I also use Twitter to get my digital footprint up. And today we're going to have a look at all the different types of social media just to see how you use it as part of your startup to help you evolve your brand and get your presence out in the marketplace. So the things that we're going to talk about today is it's all about the conversation. So that's what social media sort of centers around. We'll ask the question, why do you need a social media presence? How do you create a social media strategy for your business? What are the things you need to think about? Then we'll have a look at the customer profiles for each platform, because it's not good enough just to be on everything. You have to really understand where your customers are and make sure that you're on the platforms that they're in. Then I'll look at what I class as my top 5. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. There are other social channels, but these are the ones we'll look at today. We'll have a look at what makes good content for social, and then how do you get started, and some of the useful tools that I use when I'm sort of putting together my social media activity. So why do you really need to be on social media? You know, is it not good enough for you to have a website, have a web presence, be at events, do a bit of networking? You need to really think about social media as a channel to share information and have an engaging conversation with your customers. It's no different to picking up the phone, but you can talk to many customers rather than just one. It also gives you a digital footprint, which is searchable. So if someone searches for the keywords that are found in your social media, your content will appear. But you really must remember, it's about having a conversation. People will check you out on different platforms to find out what you do and what your business does. And if you don't have some form of social media presence, they question why they want to engage with you as a business. So the questions you probably want to ask yourself as a startup is, why should your business be on social media? In such a busy digital world, we all need to ensure our brand is being presented to our customers in as many ways as we possibly can. So not everyone's going to find your website. Not everyone's going to see your video on YouTube. So you need to use other sources, and social media is a great way of engaging both existing customers and new customers, new partners and influencers. You don't want to seem too professional and boring all the time in your social media. So it's a great way to actually promote the personality and the brand behind your business using social media, because it can be fun. It doesn't have to all be very professional and boring. One of the hardest marketing functions for any business, and one of the areas we covered in the first webinar that I talked about, which was about marketing strategy, is building that brand awareness and that customer engagement, particularly if you're selling your products online via e-commerce. But this is where the likes of social media can really come into its own. Getting content going viral, using hashtags that people are engaging with, and having conversations online will drive traffic to your website. And hashtags are the little hashtag psych symbol and some keywords that go with it. So I would say to most businesses, own your own hashtag and then join the conversations of other hashtags that are happening in the marketplace. And as your social media channels are very searchable, it's a great place to find customers who are searching for or having a conversation about your product or service or what you offer. So I use a platform called Hootsuite, and that's a social scheduling tool. There are other ones, but that's the one I prefer. And one of the best things about Hootsuite is the stream function, where you can set up searches for absolutely anything. It's a great place to find people having conversations about the types of things that you're interested in or that you're trying to promote. So I could do a search on property management Glasgow, and everyone that's having a conversation about property management Glasgow will appear in my Hootsuite stream, and I could then make the decision whether I want to be part of that conversation. So by engaging a wide network of customers and influencers on social media, you will have a captured marketplace of people who are interested in buying your product. And social advertising is a great way to target individuals to generate leads. So we've probably all heard of Facebook advertising, we've heard of LinkedIn advertising, where you can specifically pick the people that you want to have a conversation with. You can define exactly what those people look like, where they live, what they're interested in, and be really, really targeted. And that's a great way of growing your network. And plus, it's a very, very cost-effective way to do it. A lot of the companies use social media to provide customer support. So you'll probably see this yourself. People go onto social media to rant. So what you can do is you can turn that into a place where you can keep your customers up to date on any customer support issues. One of the good examples of this is ScotRail. So they manage all their customer complaints via Twitter, and they do it very, very successfully. And they've really chopped their complaints in half, because what they do is they preempt the complaints that people have. So if a train's delayed or a train is cancelled, they'll go straight onto Twitter to manage people's expectations. So it's a great place to provide that customer support. Same for like technical help desks. You see a lot of them now on social media. And because the main content sharing is free and advertising on it is relatively cheap and measurable, it's a great use of your marketing budget. So it's definitely worth, having it as part of your marketing mix. So some of the jargon, and God, social media and marketing in general is just full of jargon. So I thought I'd maybe explain a few things because they're in my presentation. So just to make sure you know where we're coming from. We've got push content versus pull content, you've probably heard of. So push content would be used in promotional or direct sales campaigns. So it's where you are actually pushing content to your customers rather than them trying to engage with it. And pull content is the opposite to that. So what I might do for a pull content campaign, I'm wanting my customers to actually seek out information. So I could do something like a Facebook advertising campaign where you're enticing people to sign up to access a web page, to download a voucher or an ebook. So you're actually getting your customers to do something. So you're pulling them into your content. And then you'll find a lot of people talk about create versus curated content. So content that you create. So that could be your own blog content, that could be articles that you write, that could be a feature about your particular product or a case study. That's your own content, so you've created that content. But curated content is information that you found in other sources that you share via your social media platforms. And I get a lot of people asking me, in this day of Google penalizing people for stealing other people's content, are we allowed to do that? Absolutely. Social media is just a hive of curated content. And if you're not doing that, you're doing something wrong. It's very, very difficult as a business to constantly come up with fresh content. So you need to use other sources. And we're going to talk about content further down the line. So If you want to create a social media strategy for your business, there's some things that you need to consider. Do your research. I can't emphasize that strongly enough. Look at your own business profile, look at your competitors, and be honest about your engagement. What works? What doesn't work? Where are you getting traction at the minute? You know, if your customers are all business to business clients in the engineering sector, and you're focusing on Facebook or Instagram as your social channel, is that the right channel? You really need to work out whether the stats line up for you. Know your customers. If you're business to business and your customers are only engaging on LinkedIn, target your efforts on this as your main social media channel. You don't need to be on every channel, just the ones that are relevant and that will reach your target customers. Set yourself some goals. There's no point in doing social media, no point in doing any type of marketing if you don't have any goals. So your SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based goals. What do you want to achieve? When do you want to see the results? And how are you going to measure that? So I've set some goals on here. It could be brand awareness, it could be lead generation, it could be actual sales, it could be about that customer reach, that customer engagement, amplifying your brand to touch lots of different people. So set your goals out at the start. Keywords is key. So in a world of digital marketing where people are searching online, you've really got to get inside the heads of your customers. What are people searching for to find your product, service, or your brand? So get a good understanding of your keywords that customers and influencers are using to find out about your product, and use this in your content and descriptions. And the best way to do that is to keep talking to your customers. So ask them on your social media, ask them face to face, when you have a meeting with them at an event, and listen to how people are describing your product. So we talked a little bit about curated content. So create your own fresh content. It's very important for you to be putting out there new messages, and backfill that with curated content from other sources. You can use lots of free tools like Google Alerts to search for specific stories on specific areas of interest. So Google Alerts is brilliant. It's free. Set it up, put some keywords in there, and you will get information sent to your inbox on things that are happening out in the marketplace. You also need to plan your campaigns. I meet lots of people on my journey that say, oh, I wake up on a Monday morning and I don't know what to put out on my Instagram. That is not the way to use social media. Your social media strategy needs to dovetail your business strategy and your marketing strategy. So plan your social media campaigns so that you give customers time to actually engage with that campaign. You have to touch someone 3 times before they will engage with your business. Always remember that. So one Facebook post isn't going to convert a customer to generate a lead. You've got to think about how do you maintain that campaign, keep it going, get really good engagement. And there's no point in doing all of these amazing campaigns if you don't track it. So we're inundated with information and statistics now from all of our different social media platforms, and most people have got Google Analytics set up on their website. And what you need to do is look at your traffic, look at your engagement, and see, is it actually working for you? So we're now going to look at the sort of customers for each of the different platforms, and not everybody's on all of the platforms. This is a guideline, but actually in my experience, I find it's quite good. So you need to really understand your customers and compare this to the demographics of the individual who are going to use each of the channel. For example, if your customers are female, age 55 to 65, in senior management positions in a charity, they're not going to engage with you on Snapchat. And they're probably not going to be on Instagram unless they're following an influencer. So more than likely, these individuals will engage with you on LinkedIn or possibly Twitter. So you need to also understand why people use each of the channels. So some people only use LinkedIn to connect, so they're building up their network. Some people only use Instagram as their creative business, and it's the best channel to showcase creative content. And some people are on Facebook personally, but they won't engage professionally on there. So you've got to really think about your customers, map them, group them, profile them, and then work out which social channel they're on. So you need to do that research and make sure that you know that well in advance before you choose the channels that you want to work on. So these are what I would say, the top 5 social media channels that I come across for most of my businesses that they work with. So let's have a look at them in more depth. So Facebook, everyone's heard of it. You may not be on it, but you've probably heard of it. It's a great channel for engaging those consumer-facing businesses, so maybe a craft business, a beauty business, a food business, somebody with a consumer product, tourism, those types of industries engage really, really well on Facebook. In my experience, things like engineering, manufacturing, renewable energy probably don't engage so readily on Facebook because they're more a sort of traditional type of business. So to actually get your Facebook working for you, again, set your SMART goals that we talked about earlier on. Grow your followers. So you need to generate social reach to engage more customers to follow your page. So that's about, maybe doing some Facebook advertising. That's about tagging suppliers, people that should be interested in your product, to actually share your content with their followers. You also need to follow the influencers. So follow the people that can influence your marketing. And I don't mean just Facebook influencers. So that could be partners, suppliers, relevant local businesses, big events, influencers in your particular specific area. So if you've got a journalist or a key writer in a particular area, make sure you're following them and sharing their content. And Facebook advertising is a great, relatively cheap way to find and engage with your target audience. It works best if you use all the Facebook tools. So what Facebook wants you to do is they want you to use the messenger. So when you come on to your corporate Facebook page, a little messenger pops up to say, hi, how can I help you? Facebook wants you to use the like, the share, the comment side of the posting that goes out. They want you to use Facebook Live, so doing live videos on their Facebook. The more that you engage with Facebook, the better your social reach. One of the things that you find is if you're not getting that engagement with Facebook, you're not getting that pull content we talked about earlier on, Facebook will restrict the number of people that can actually see your Facebook page. So you've got to really work it well. And what should you post? A mixture of status updates, some information about your product or service, competitions that you're possibly running, some personal content to show the brand of the company, and any content that you think your customers are going to like, share, and comment on. Things that are going to get really good engagement. So I've got on my list of things, a good mix of imagery and video content. What my customers find is they'll get much more engagement from a video than they will from a still image. And a video doesn't have to be a professional thing recorded by, a professional videographer. You can make really good pieces of video now on your phone using things like iMovie and Gomora, which is the Android editing platform. And a lot of these things are free. Or get customers to leave you a Facebook review and post that on your Facebook. You want to be able to showcase how good you actually are at things. So there's lots of really good stuff you can do in your Facebook. And when's the best time that you to post on Facebook? And again, this will be different from business to business, but this is the sort of guidelines that we get online. So the best days to post, Sunday, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Your best times are 9 a.m, lunchtime, 1 p.m, and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. But what's really interesting is each business, as I say, will be different. So I have a health and beauty academy, and they got their best engagement on their website booking system from promoting their wellness treatments between 7 and 8 p.m. on a Sunday night, because their customers are planning their week ahead. So they've looked at their Google Analytics, they've looked at their Facebook Insights and said, actually, hang on here, we're putting out lots of posts at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, they're getting no engagement. Let's move that to 7 o'clock at night. And actually they're seeing really good engagement. So really look at your statistics, because they really do make a difference. The second platform we'll look at is Instagram. And that's a highly engaging platform for companies who've got really good imagery, really good video content, something to show. So if you haven't got a business with interesting content, you need to think about how you use Instagram differently. So one of the things you need to think about in Instagram, it's a younger platform, and it's really highly influenced by the likes of Instagram stories and influencers. You need to develop a good profile on it. You can use the URL on your profile to link to the buy area on your website. You only get the opportunity to add one hyperlink on Instagram, so make sure it's on your profile. And people search on Instagram using hashtags. You can use as many as you want, such as I love cupcakes. It says a lot about me. But you still want to engage people. So 100 hashtags is probably too many. Things like social days are great for bringing traffic to your Instagram page and being part of that conversation. So today actually is National Lager Day. Don't like lager myself, but let's join that conversation because there's already thousands of people talking about lager. Your audience is going to be younger, as I said earlier, so short, direct messages along with excellent images or video content works best. On Facebook, you can put in a lot more content, and because your audience is slightly older, they expect a lot more content, but younger people want short, sharp messages, so make sure your Instagram posts are not full of content. Your Instagram stories, which is a personal story about what's happening with either yourself or your business, or it could be something about yourself that's linked to your business. You can put more content in, and a lot of people do them with video content, so they get really good engagement. A good example of that is I've got a client who has a gym, and the guy has just been through bowel cancer, and he uses his Instagram story to tell his personal story about how he's got his health and well-being back on track because he's got the all clear now. But it's actually a lot of the messaging he's given is very strongly linked to his gym because he's all about promoting health and well-being. So the two of them tie very naturally together, and he gets excellent engagement on his Instagram stories. One of the things you can do with your Instagram is you can have a shop. If you've got an e-commerce platform, you can consider shop plugins such as shoppable Instagram galleries, and then you can sell via your Instagram site. But that's probably taking Instagram to the next level, and not everybody sells online. So some of the best times to post on Instagram, Mondays and Thursdays are the most popular days, and people get the best engagement at 8 to 9 a.m, 5 p.m, and 2 o'clock in the morning. Not when I'm going to be on social media, but a lot of young people are on social media. And remember, people are on Instagram from the age of 14. So make sure your messaging isn't anything that they are not going to engage with or could take offense with. So Twitter is the next platform. Twitter's changed quite a lot, probably over the last 12 months. It used to be a platform where, people could put out a lot of content and you could sell a lot of stuff on, but it's become less of that because I think some of the other platforms have really taken over in that area, particularly Instagram. But it's a great platform for engaging the public bodies, education boards, healthcare, big events, trade association, journalists, bloggers, anyone professional that you want to try and get to. A lot of corporates are on Twitter, so if you want to try and get your brand in front of them, it's a great platform for that. Again, it's driven by hashtags, so you need to join the conversation using a hashtag and get your point across. So make sure you've got your own hashtag for your own Twitter account, and that can be the same hashtag you use across LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram. But you've only got 280 characters to get that message across. So actually it really focuses your mind. And because there's so much content being posted on Twitter, it's always worth adding an image, a media file or some sort of video to your posts, and quote a hashtag when you're retweeting somebody else's post, because that gets you part of a different conversation. So your hashtag might be hashtag I love cupcakes. You might be looking at somebody else who's talking about cupcakes, bring your hashtag into that conversation. Try and make sure you get your own brand and voice across in your Twitter. So, if you're quite a young, funky brand, don't make your tweets very staid and boring because people won't expect that. It has to reflect your own particular brand. And it's a great tool for searching for stories and conversations. So as I said earlier on, I use Hootsuite to schedule all my tweets. And you can set up streams in that to search for particular things, or you can just go onto Twitter and just search for a particular subject or a particular hashtag. And that's how a lot of people use Twitter. So having those keywords that we talked about earlier on out in your social media content is key. Best times to post on Twitter is Wednesday, which is interesting. And people use it at lunchtime, mid-afternoon, and on the commute on the way home from work, which is what you would expect. It is a business tool. But I would say it's probably more than just Wednesday. I would say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are probably your key days because that's the sort of best days for social media. So LinkedIn is a business-to-business social tool. It's great for connecting with business contacts and showcasing yourself as a thought leader. So you can really lift your head above the parapet by putting out some really excellent content on LinkedIn. There's two different types of profiles that you can set up on LinkedIn. You can have a personal profile where you would engage and connect personally with individuals. And then you can have a corporate page that you would use to promote or get people or organizations to follow you. I would always recommend that you set up both and use your personal profile to build your network and use your corporate profile to put out your corporate message. It's not good enough just to connect on LinkedIn these days. You also really need to use some of the specific features to get LinkedIn really working for you. So you can create posts where you can put content out there, short, sharp messages. But remember, posts only stay on your profile or someone else's profile for 48 hours. So writing articles, you'll see on your LinkedIn, you've got the option to write an article. It's a great way to engage with prospects, raise your brand profile, and get yourself across as that thought leader. So there's lots of really interesting things happening in the media just now. You know, you could write about climate change, God forbid, you could write about Brexit, you could write about the change of government. So, you know, put your own personal opinion out there and really engage your customers. Think about what your customers are thinking about and get your content to align with that. Best times to post on LinkedIn, as you would expect, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 to 8 in the morning, lunchtime, and 5 to 6 at night. I use LinkedIn quite extensively myself, and I find I get really good engagement if I put content out first thing in the morning. Okay, and YouTube. So I think this is really interesting. Video content is the most engaging medium to showcase what you do, and 64% of customers are more likely to buy your product after watching a video about it. And I think we all can agree, you know, watching a short video on something is much better and much more engaging than a flat image. So thinking about using video content to really get your product across is key. You can tell your story in a short video clip, and it's a great way to get individuals to engage with your brand, but it's got to be good content. So don't have boring people talking to the camera, you know, putting people off. You could have somebody presenting to the camera and having some other imagery coming in, or you could have somebody quite stimulating talking to the camera that's really engaging and, you know, gets good eye contact and is quite motivated. So you can see how different types of video content could work quite well. You could create a series of customer focused videos, so how-to guides, how to use your product, how to use something interesting in your particular sector. There's a guy in the States who he has a tiling business, and he doesn't use YouTube or video content to sell his tiles. He uses YouTube as a sort of a how-to guides, and he teaches people how to tile. So what's the best grout to use? What's the best tiles to put on your floor? What's the best tiles to put on your walls? How to do different patterns. So he does lots and lots and lots of how-to guides, and he gets massive traffic from his YouTube channel because he just has a small link to his website at the very bottom of it. So he's not selling his products, he's teaching people. And they're great types of video content to get people really engaged. But you also need to show off your brand personality and the individuals who work in it. So get your team in front of the camera, get your suppliers in front of the camera, get people that you work with in front of the camera, and showcase the whole brand of personality of your business. Some of the things to remember if you're doing social video. So on YouTube, if you're doing a corporate video, you can make that as long as you possibly want, although people don't engage for much more than about 2 to 3 minutes. But if you're doing social video, your Twitter video content needs to be under 60 seconds if you want it to play automatically on your Twitter. For Instagram, it's only 30 seconds, but for Facebook and LinkedIn, you've got 1.5 minutes if you want to upload it just directly as a piece of video content, which is what I would recommend. So as I said at the beginning, and a few times during this presentation, what makes good content? Lots of people ask me, you know, should I just be constantly pushing my product and selling my product? No, please don't do that, or people will disengage. If you think about reading the newspaper or reading the BBC News online, or, you know, whatever way you engage with your news content, look at stories that attract your attention, things with really punchy headlines, things with very strong statements that you say, oh, that looks quite interesting, I'm going to read that. Your social media has to be the same. Your headlines are so important. Great visual content can do that for you as well. So I've spoken a lot about images, video, slides, animation, GIFs, anything that's really quite moving and interactive that actually somebody looks at and says, oh, that looks quite good, I want to read more. Anything that's topical or trending, or stories that bring in topical events. So depending on what your business does, could you bring something in about how the change of government is going to affect what's happening within your business? Or if you're in the tourism sector, what's actually happening in tourism at the minute, how the seasonal change is happening, how does that relate to your business? So it's looking at things that are of interest to your customers, things that are trending that actually you can bring into your conversation. And then look at external industry factors, so environmental issues, legislation, factors like that potentially are going to affect your customers, but also brings you back and positions you as that thought leader again. And don't be afraid to voice your thoughts, ask questions, share your opinion. You know, people that are engaging with you on social media don't want you just to be a pushing, you know, a content pushing person. You want to have that pull content as well. You want to engage people into that conversation. So giving your opinion makes other people put their hand up and say, I don't agree with you, or I do agree with you. So be part of that conversation. Events are a great way of sharing content. So if you're at an event, there's some really interesting topical things that are happening, using the event hashtag, you can join that conversation, get your brand profile in front of their target audience, because this is all about audience reach, finding lots of people that potentially should engage with your particular business, your lifestyle, what it is that you do. People like to see your community benefit, any charities you support, what do you do as a business? I spoke earlier on about showing your personal brand of the business, and this is a great way of doing that. Client testimonials, you know, shout about it. You know, having them on Facebook reviews and on Google reviews isn't enough. And then have campaigns rather than one-off pieces of content. So don't get up on a Monday morning, as I said earlier on, and think, oh my God, what do I put out this week? Think about what's coming up in your business. Look at some of the key events that are happening across the next 3 to 6 months and have a campaign plan and continually go back and review it. So if you know a supplier is going to be launching a new product that actually is going to make your product better, put it in your timeline, start talking about it, you know, preempting what your customers can expect from that. And create content from other sources. So set up Google Alerts, look for keywords, get content coming into your inbox on a daily basis so that you know that you've got additional stuff that you can actually talk about. And don't post the same content on all your social media channels, because that really does disengage your followers. So the amount of companies I see where I'm maybe following them on Facebook and Instagram, and it's exactly the same stuff going out, people get turned off by that and they'll stop following you. So think about your customers. You know, you'll have a different audience on LinkedIn, a different audience on Facebook, a different audience on YouTube. So make sure your content's very, very targeted to those people. So how do you get started? So, you know, I'm telling you to go away and create this social media strategy, but how do you go about that? What's your first steps? So define your SMART goals. Understand what you want your social media to do for you. Is it brand awareness? Is it lead generation? Is it actual sales? Is it about audience reach? So really think about what you want your social media to do for you and define your goals. Who's your audience? You know, so identify who it is that you're trying to reach and what social channels they're on, and create campaigns to reach your goals and target audience rather than posting ad hoc pieces of content, which we've spoken about quite a lot today. Pick the channels that's going to reach your customers, and remember, you don't need to be on everything, just the ones that will engage your audiences. So I meet a lot of companies in the creative space and they're on Pinterest, and they say to me, you know, Pinterest doesn't work for me. Well, your audience obviously aren't on Pinterest, so stop focusing on it and, you know, get onto Instagram where your audience actually are. So pick the channels that work and develop the messages that will actually talk to your customers, that are going to resonate and engage existing customers and new customers. So, you know, think about the things that stimulate interest. When you do your analytics at the end of the day, see which campaigns, see which messages get the best feedback. So what's your medium? How will you communicate this social campaign? Is it content only? Is it content in an image? Will you have video and animation? Are you planning to use Instagram or Facebook Live? You need to plan that in advance. And it takes 6 weeks to set up a campaign for social media. So you need to be planning 6 weeks in advance. But you can use things like scheduling tools so that your campaigns are set out at the time and the day that creates the most impact. So thinking back to that health and wellness client that I have, they did their analysis. They worked out that they get the best engagement from their customers at 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday night, because that's their planning time. So they have their best posts going out at that time of the night. It's not to say they're not doing it for the rest of the week, but that's their best post. And as I said, your channels provide a wealth of analytics. So use these and Google Analytics on your website to manage, to monitor which of the campaigns are giving you the best impact. And there's nothing wrong with running the same campaign twice or changing it slightly and rerunning it. because that's why you're doing your analytics. So some of the examples of some really good social campaigns, everybody's heard of Red Bull. They don't use their social channels to promote their drink, which is really interesting, but they use it to promote a lifestyle. So they use hashtags really well to promote their specific campaigns, and they use highly engaging, dangerous sports images because they're targeting young, active people who like to live life on the edge, and they need the Red Bull to give them wings. So they've got a massive following on all of their channels. I think they've got about 1 million people just on their Facebook alone, because they have really good content. Their imagery, their video content, it's excellent. And the other one is Go Outdoors. Again, really great customer engagement. They've got almost 15,000 people on their Facebook, but you can see they're only following 135 people. So it's not their actual followers that are giving them that reach. They use hashtags to start and lead conversations, and they proactively invite customers and followers to upload their own content. So I'm out on a walk, and that's what Go Outdoors is all about. It's that outdoor, it's that imagery, it's the UK and different countries at their best. There's loads of interaction in terms of their posts and comments and shares and likes. And they bring relevant brands into their conversations. So they bring in outdoor events, activities, things that their customers would like, because they're reaching out to these brands to amplify their message on their social channel, expanding that customer reach. So really good way of actually using social media. So coming to the end of the presentation, and one of the things I always like to say to people is there's some tools that you can actually use to really help you do your social media, and they'll just make your life so much easier. So canva.com is a design tool. You can use it for free, but there is a paid version of it. And it's brilliant for creating social media posts, things like LinkedIn header banners, little flyers that you want to put out as a PDF as part of a campaign, Facebook posts, all of that sort of stuff. They've set it up for all of the different social channels. It's an absolutely brilliant wee tool. You can use Hootsuite and TweetDeck. So I talked about earlier on about Hootsuite. Great for social media sharing, good for scheduling content and searching for keywords across Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. There's lots of image sites out there. So if you haven't got your own photographs, and your own photographs and video content is best. But if you haven't got images, you can go to Shutterstock, where you pay 25 quid an image, or you can use some of the free ones. So you've got Pexels, Unsplash, Pixabay, there's Adobe Stock. There's lots of different ones that are out there, but some of the free ones are good. Have a look at them first of all. And if you can't find them, then go and buy some images. There's a community of freelancers who can create lots of different types of design content for you, called Fiverr.com, and a lot of people use that to sort of create wee quirky graphics, wee GIFs, things like that. To do a competitor SEO and keyword search, you can use neilpatel.com. So basically what you would do is put your competitor's web address in there, and it'll pull all the keywords in for you. So then you know which words you should be using in your social media content. Google Trends is also great for searching keyword trends. So again, you can put in some of the keywords that you're using and see which of those words are actually trending. If you're making video content, iMovie or Filmora Go for Android are great for editing your video content. There's an infographic tool called PictoChart, which is, again, you can use for free, but there's a paid version as well. And infographics are really good for social media, for actually getting some engagement, because you can tell a story. And Follower Wonk is a measurement tool for Twitter to see who most of your influential followers are. So it gives you really good insights and really good analytics. So a great tool to download, again, free. Lots and lots of free content out there and tools, which is excellent. So that's my presentation on social media. Hopefully you find it interesting. If you have any questions, as Raluca said, if you pop them into the box, and then we'll just run through those just now.
Yes, so we're going to start our Q&A session. We actually have already a few, but do feel free to add more in the Q&A box. So Anne-Marie, how do you handle comments in social media when you share your opinion?
It's quite an interesting one. So people posting on Google reviews and Facebook reviews, obviously there is no way of managing the content that comes on board. If you get a negative comment, what I always say to people is take the conversation offline. So you would maybe put a comment back into that box that says, I'm sorry you feel this way about our service. You know, we are all about customer service, if that's what the person is complaining about. I'd love to speak to you about it. Call me on and put your phone number in there, or give them an email address, and take that conversation offline. There's nothing worse, and you see it on TripAdvisor all the time, where managers of restaurants start having a conversation with someone because they're complaining about their food, and the manager is coming backwards and forwards. That whole digital content will always stay on your profile. So my recommendation is to take it offline. If you get a really bad review, you can go to Facebook and you can ask them to take it down. It's difficult to get them to take it down because you have to prove that that comment is having a detrimental effect on your business, but you can go and ask for that. But use your good comments. You know, I've said a few times in this presentation, share your content on your social media. So if you're really active on Facebook, take your reviews off your Google, or take your reviews off LinkedIn and post them on your other social channels. And don't forget about Google reviews. A lot of people just focus on Facebook reviews, but Google is searched as much as Facebook, and not everyone's on Facebook. So pick them up in your Google reviews as well, and ask people to review you on both channels.
Thank you. Regarding the use of social media to establish yourself as a thought leader, how much personality is allowed in this, and does it work for B2B?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say that again.
Regarding the use of social media to establish yourself as a thought leader, how much personality is allowed in this, and does it work for B2B?
Absolutely. And getting your personality into that thought leadership type content is key, because people don't want you to be that boring brand talking about renewable energy or talking about climate change, whatever it is that your sort of area of specialism in. They want to know about you. People engage with people, particularly on the likes of Twitter and LinkedIn. It's all about showing your personality. Your personality is the brand behind your business. As a startup, you start with a very, very, very small team. So you are the brand of your business. You know, if you're running this business, it's you. So getting that personality in there alongside what you're trying to get across. And as I said earlier on, give your opinions, because that's part of your personality. I try and be a little bit quirky, a little bit funny in some of my posts as well, because I don't want people to look at me and think, oh God, she's really boring. I don't want to engage with her. You know, if I do some work with her, it's going to be hard going. It's going to be trudgery. Show your personality, get your brand across. It's really important.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. And could you give some tips on how to link press articles on social media?
To link them. So what I would normally do is, if I was in reading, say BBC News, and there was a really interesting press article in there that's relevant to my business, on the right-hand side, they normally have a social sharing button. So if you click on their social sharing button, always put a comment in the box. Why are you sharing that press article with your Twitter followers or your Instagram followers? What is it about that press article that should be of interest to those customers? Or give your opinion. You know, if you're strongly against something or you're strongly for something, use your opinion to get that quote across. And if they don't have a social sharing button on the actual news site that you're reading, just use the hyperlink. So create a post about it, put your opinion in there. It's a good way of getting a good image in there, and then put a hyperlink back to the press team or the press article. One of the things that you need to think about from a digital point of view is a thing called backlinks. It's about having good backlinks and front links from your site. So you're looking for trusted, respected links to link to your website to boost your search capabilities on Google. So if I link out to, say, a trade magazine, I put a really good comment in there. I might reference the journalist in that particular comment that I put out. They're more than likely to share that on their social channels, which gives you a really good link back to your social media and to your website.
Thank you. And regarding social media campaigns or LinkedIn and Facebook, for example, how much budget would it be expected to spend, like a minimum?
Well, I mean, you can do your social media for free, and it just really costs you time and potentially some image stock, if that's what you want to buy. They do say your marketing budget should be 20% of your turnover, which makes me laugh because as a small business, 20% of my turnover is quite a lot of money. So, you know, if you ran a Facebook campaign and you did it as an advertising campaign, I would probably say for your first campaign, maybe set yourself a budget of between 20 and 50 pounds. I mean, it's not a lot of money to do Facebook campaigns, but it depends on how many people you're trying to target and what you're trying to do with that. So if you're trying to maybe pick off a particular region, you're maybe doing a campaign to men aged, I don't know, 50 to 60 in the Birmingham area, you're maybe going to have quite a small target audience. So your advertising budget would be aligned to that. But if you sort of think about it overall, your marketing, you probably need, you know, a decent marketing budget for your whole business over the course of the year. But again, it'll depend on your business size and how, you know, what you're trying to actually do with that business. So that's maybe a wee bit too vague. It's actually really hard. It's really hard to sort of assess it and to work it out.
Going back to the question on how to link press articles on social media, what about articles from your company to amplify the message?
So what I would do with my article, I would upload it onto my website. So it's got a home, so it has its sort of digital base. And then what you would do is you would share that link out on your social channels. So don't republish that article on your LinkedIn or on your Twitter, but create a smaller article based. So say it's LinkedIn, create a smaller article based on that news story from your website, create some posts about that particular article. So you're pushing people back to your website all along, create some tweets from that, create a couple of Facebook posts from that, create some Instagram posts from that, because you're basically needing a home for that particular article. And think about your audiences when you're trying to sort of share that PR story. So your audience on Facebook could potentially be a completely different audience to your audience on LinkedIn, and make sure that when you're social sharing it, you make it very, very targeted to the customers you're trying to engage. But it needs a home. So that press article needs to have a home. So it's either on your website, or it might be that it's a story that you've already given to the media and the media have published it in their publication, and they may not give you permission to republish it on your website, but they might give you permission to share it on your social channels. So you would use their hyperlink, but again, share it across your social channels.
Thank you. And what's the best way to engage B2B on LinkedIn?
The best way to engage people is to connect with them first of all. So if I was doing a targeted campaign and I'm trying to find people that I want to do business with, I'll do a search on LinkedIn. So I might look for marketing managers in technology businesses in Scotland. That could be my sort of target group. Do a search on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, you need LinkedIn Premium to do this. LinkedIn will bring you back a list of people that meet your target audience. You can do some of it on the free version of LinkedIn, but if you want to do continuous searches, you need to upgrade it to LinkedIn Premium. So once I know the people that I want to try and engage with, I would do a connect. Connect with them and send them a little message about why you want to connect with them. So I want to connect with you because we have similar aspirations, or we're both members of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, or I met you at an event, or you're running a campaign that I'm really interested in. So tell them why you want to connect with them. So connect with them on LinkedIn. And once you've got connected with that particular person on LinkedIn, have a look and see what they're posting. Look at their articles, look at their posts, look at the groups that they're members of, and get yourself involved in all of that conversation. So I would look at the person's posting, and I would make a comment on it. Not always a comment that says, "Oh, good luck" or "well done," but give your opinion. You know, why is an article that they're putting out about climate change of interest? So put your opinions across. Get your brand in front of them as much as possible, and look at the articles that they're posting. So you might say you made a really nice comment on such and such, but actually we've written a piece of content on our website that aligns with what you're talking about. So you link them back to your website, because what you're trying to do is you really want to use your social media to keep your brand in front of that customer at all times. So it's hard to do it for every single customer that you want to try and engage with. So pick your 10 to 20 top prospects and really work on them first of all to get the best engagement you can.
Thank you. We have a few more questions.
Yeah.
What's better for targeting on Facebook, boost posts or Facebook advertising?
So this is really interesting because what Facebook does when you actually create some content on Facebook is it'll automatically say, boost this post, and it'll give you sort of a, from £10, you can boost this post to your audience. It's actually better to do Facebook advertising. So when you go into your sort of scheduling page on Facebook, one of the things that you can change is Facebook advertising. So what Facebook advertising does is it reaches the audience that you really want to get to, and it avoids all the Autobots that are set up on Facebook boost posts. What you don't want is a whole load of Autobots getting involved in your campaigns because it sort of skews your data. So by actually using Facebook advertising, you'll get in front of the people that you're targeting in that campaign. But as I said earlier on, you've really got to use Facebook's tools. So if you're using Facebook as one of your channels, get the Facebook Messenger set up, and you can link that to your website, and you can just link it to your Facebook page, and a little message will pop up and say, "Hi, how can I help you?" Or "Our hours are opening now, whatever particular time." So you can use that to really get engagement. Use things like Facebook Live. So rather than doing an actual video, do it live, and try and encourage people to leave you comments and likes, and that will make your Facebook work really, really well for you.
Thank you. And should I use the scheduling tool to post on Facebook and Instagram at the same time?
In a short, no. Remember when we were talking about earlier on about your different audiences, your audience on Facebook are older. So your audience on Facebook are 25 to probably about 70-year-olds. Your audience on Instagram are 14 to 29, 30-year-olds. So your audience on Instagram are much, much younger. They are not going to want the same information that you're putting out on Facebook. Facebook is, a much more content-driven platform. They're looking for words. They're looking for ways to describe things, whereas Instagram is very image-driven. So if you keep putting the same content on both your channels and people are following you on both, they'll disengage with you. So use your scheduling tool, but schedule on each individual platform separately.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining today's webinar, and thank you, Anne-Marie.
No problem.
We hope you found the webinar useful, and would like to remind you of the next Women in Innovation Building Success webinar that will be held on the 17th of December, and will explore financial planning. You can also find more about the forthcoming events and opportunities via our newsletter or by signing up to our online community. Also, if you'd like any further information or support, please feel free to contact my colleague Siobhan Smith via email or from the website. So thank you again for joining, and we hope to see you again at our future events and webinars.